Proudly broadcasting from the Richard Philip Cavallaro studio.
WRHU.
Hempstead.
You've discovered
A cornerstone of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication.
WRHU.
Now, Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program, Newsline.
Coming up on Newsline, Wednesday, April 24th, 2024.
President Biden signs an aid package that will be dispersed to U.S. allies.
Supreme Court hears arguments about an Idaho abortion ban.
Ukraine fired long-range missiles secretly provided by the United States.
The Senate passes a bill that would ban TikTok, and President Biden signed it.
And some exclusive coverage on the protests out of Colombia.
So it was really just, I don't know what the word is, but it really had a profound effect on me.
In business, Boeing faces financial challenges. A recent survey reveals that a quarter of U.S. adults expect never to retire, and British regulators scrutinize Microsoft and Amazon's AI investments. I'm Jack Ferretti, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
In entertainment tonight, Megan Thee Stallion, Billie Eilish, and major Long Island music news. I'm Ricky Hubert, and I'll have all that and more for you later in the broadcast.
In sports, lots of action on the diamond today. Hofstra baseball and softball are live right now with the Mets and Yankees still to play. I'm Connor Keogh, bringing you the latest in sports.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Isaac Brendel.
And I'm Cameron Bowden. We begin tonight's broadcast on Capitol Hill. President Joe Biden today signed into a law a bill that would send $95 billion in aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. During a late-night vote, the Senate voted 79-18 in support of the bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer expressed yesterday that he was relieved that the allies would finally receive aid.
Finally. Tonight, after more than 6 months of hard work and many twists and turns in the road, America sends a message to the entire world. We will not turn our back on you.
Hofstra political science professor Takashi Kanatsu shared a perspective on the impact that this aid package will have on U.S. allies.
It shows a commitment that the United States would eventually move to support their allies, so the symbolic meaning is extremely high. This bill is influencing many countries in East Asia, particularly the one which started doubting the intention and the way China operates, such as the Philippines, Vietnam, and a few other Southeast Asian countries will definitely feel like, okay, the United States is going to move when it's necessary. So in the symbolic meaning, it has a very big impact.
The package will send $62 billion in aid to Ukraine, $26 billion in aid to Israel, and $8 billion to Taiwan.
The Supreme Court began hearing arguments surrounding a near-total abortion ban that was passed in Idaho. The court accepted an appeal from Idaho officials who are pushing back against a lower court's ruling that determined a 1986 federal law supersedes the state's abortion plan. The federal law in question is known as the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, which sets a national standard of care in emergency situations. Justice Alina Kagan said that federal law should supersede in the situation, and as a woman's reproductive organs could be in danger, an instance covered under legislation.
All of these cases are rare, but within these rare cases, there's a significant number where the woman is, her life is not in peril, but she's going to lose her reproductive organs. She's going to lose the ability to have children in the future, unless an abortion takes place.
The court currently has a 6-3 conservative majority, though the justices did not seem to come to a consensus after today's arguments. The 9 justices expressed confusion surrounding what protections federal law offers to unborn children.
For the first time since the initiation of conflict in the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukrainian military forces have used long-range ballistic missiles that were secretly provided by the U.S. American officials today say the missiles were used to bomb a Russian military airfield in Crimea last week and to attack Russian forces in an occupied territory last night. One American official says that some of these missiles will be provided in the new aid package that was passed into law today. In a press conference, President Biden shared the following remarks about the aid package that will pay for some of these missiles.
I'm making sure the shipments start right away. In the next few hours, literally the few hours, we're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles.
These new missiles give the Ukrainian military double the striking reach they previously had.
President Joe Biden has signed a bill that will either ban or force the sale of TikTok. The U.S. Senate approved the measure in a 79-18 vote yesterday, which was included in the same package that will bring aid to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. CEO Shu Chu says that the company will take its fight over the ban to court. TikTok will need to find a new buyer in the next 9 months.
This afternoon, WRHU's Brooklyn Doughton visited a tabling event for Denim Day at Hofstra and spoke to some people there about sexual assault awareness. Brooklyn Doughton has more on the story.
Today holds a great deal of significance to survivors of sexual assault. Today is Denim Day. Denim Day falls on the last Wednesday of April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It was developed by an organization called Peace Over Violence, a nonprofit whose goal is to promote healthy relationships. On Denim Day, people are encouraged to wear clothing of denim as a symbol of protest against destructive ideas about sexual assault, such as victim blaming. Student Wellness Education and the Title IX Office for Student Issues at Hofstra held a tabling event in honor of Denim Day in the Student Center atrium this afternoon. There, people received pins and denim patches and learned more about this day. I spoke with a couple of students there about sexual assault awareness. Maya Francisco, a freshman majoring in health science, shared what she thought of the tabling event.
I think this tabling event is really cool. I think it helps with awareness. I think it's also a good way to get our kids on campus involved in everything that's going on.
Genevia Pierre, a junior majoring in computer science, shared a similar sentiment.
I love it. I think it's so cute and it's needed. Like this message, I got my message on boundaries, and that is a big thing for me. So I think it's very important, and hopefully I can remember to set my boundaries like I would like to. But the stickers, the buttons, all of it is really cute. It's interactive. I love that it's interactive and informational at the same time.
Brittany Roden, the Title IX coordinator for student issues and director for student wellness education, who was in charge of the event, stressed the importance of Denim Day.
Various colleges recognize the day. We put out emails to the entire community to wear denim to show support and solidarity for those who have experienced sexual violence. So it is an event that we run annually, and we encourage participation from our entire community.
PR stated that they believe that Hofstra is improving on their support for sexual assault survivors.
I think this is the first I've seen them tabling for Denim Day, and then to tell the story is really good. I did not expect it going to the WRHU that we go to, but I'm glad it's a start, and I hope they continue and the impact is greater.
However, Francisco stated that there is room for improvement for Hofstra in the department of addressing cases of sexual assault.
I think we for sure can do better. At least I know in my class, there's been a lot of cases of sexual assault that, you know, the people who are committing said assaults do not get the proper punishment. So I think Hofstra could do a lot more for that.
With your Newsline report, I am Brooklyn Doughton, WRHU.
Thank you to WRHU's Brooklyn Doughton for that report.
Coming up after your Newsline specialty report with Jack Ferretti, new exclusive interviews with the Hofstra SGA presidential candidates. More arrests are made in NYC following a pro-Palestinian protest, and we have a Hofstra student who was at the Columbia protest share some of their thoughts on the events. But first, your Newsline traffic and weather update with Dorcas Umaru. WRHU News Time is 5:38.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
Heading eastbound, we're seeing a majority of traffic moving away from New York City, causing some delays on the roads. On Hempstead Turnpike, there is minor delay near Franklin Avenue due to traffic. Please plan accordingly and consider alternate routes if possible. Moving over to the rails, today we have good news for those traveling on the Long Island Railroad. All lines are currently running smoothly with no major delays or service disruptions to report. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy your stress-free ride to your destination. Remember, for real-time updates on your LIRR commute, be sure to check the MTA website at new.mta.info. Up in the skies, currently in JFK and LaGuardia Airport, there are no significant arrival or departure delays reported, with general delays of 15 minutes or less. Right now, outside our studio, it's 70 degrees and partly cloudy. Tonight, expect temperatures to drop to around 56 degrees. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we can anticipate a high of 56 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Friday will bring more of the same, with temperatures reaching a high of 60 degrees and plenty of sunshine. With your Newsline traffic update, I am Daka Sumaru, and I'll be back with another update coming up later in the broadcast.
Newsline Business News.
Boeing reported a $355 million loss for the first quarter. The company cited declining revenue due to ongoing safety concerns and whistleblower accusations. While facing scrutiny and legal challenges, including demands for criminal fraud charges from crash victims' families, Boeing is also grappling with production delays and supply chain issues. Despite these setbacks, industry analysts highlight Boeing's strong market position and demand for its products, with many maintaining positive stock ratings. Analysts remain bullish on Boeing's prospects. A recent AARP survey of 80,000 people revealed that a quarter of U.S. adults over 50 expect to never retire. This comes after rising living costs and inadequate savings. The study highlights that 70% worry about expenses outpacing their income. A significant portion carries high credit card debt, with 12% owing over $20,000. David John from AARP notes an increase in older workers staying in the workforce due to insufficient retirement savings. The census data indicates voters over 65 made up 30% of the votes. British competition regulators are ramping up for their oversight of big tech's AI investments. The Competition and Markets Authority is investigating Microsoft's recent partnership, including its collaboration with Minstrel AI and the hiring of talent from startup Infection AI. They're also probing Amazon's substantial $4 billion investment in Anthropic. While Microsoft pledges cooperation and defends its business practices, Amazon asserts its defense grant board's roles and continues Anthropic's multi-cloud operations. With your Newsline Business Report, I'm Jack Ferretti.
WRHU News Time is 5:41. Thank you, Dorcas Umaro and Jack Ferretti, for those reports. Over the past couple days, WRHU has been giving coverage on the Student Government Association elections here on Hofstra's campus. Today is the final day of voting, and we have new interviews with SGA presidential candidates Lincoln Anabolity and Shirley Gwenfoud about their policy plans and also what they like about their opponent. My co-anchor Cameron Bowden has the following interview with Lincoln Anabolity.
What are some of the biggest concerns or criticisms that you might have received about initiatives you're planning on pursuing if elected into the presidency next year?
One thing that I often hear is, how are you planning on doing some of this stuff, like lowering food costs on campus? And it's not just it's not an empty promise that I'm just saying. My theory, and it's not really a theory, it's more of a fact, is that if more people are eating on campus, it gives campus more ability to lower food prices because they can therefore buy a larger food share. And if we produce more food on campus, if we have greenhouses on campus, we have something like 40 unused acres of land which could be converted into greenhouses, and that's an actual initiative and project that administration is working on. So if we can get those things done, we can actually lower food costs on campus. And if the quality of food is better, which is something that campus can actually do, more people will eat on campus and change lower food costs overall.
One of your policy initiatives looks to raise wages for student workers on campus. How are you going to make that change occur if reelected?
Well, I think we have to have student voices in this discussion, because student wages are determined by each department that you're hired for. So do students want there to be less opportunities for jobs on campus, less student workers on campus, in exchange for a higher wage overall? Or our students, would they prefer a smaller wage increase and preserve a lot of the student jobs, but or exploring other models? But I think we just have to keep advocating and using our voice to lower wages, because it is Hofstra is the institution paying us as a student worker. So we have to demand, we have to use our collective voice and demand higher wages. It's and I have the capacity and the desire to organize and unite student workers across the board. It's not just wages either. It's just providing resources, community. If there's something going on in your office, when you're a Pride guide, you should talk to the people who work in the daycare, and maybe there's a common theme happening here. I think more resource support for student workers overall.
In this interview, we also wanted to ask the candidates what they respect most about their other candidate, the other candidate in the process. So what do you respect most about your opponent, Shirley?
Shirley is a great person. She's very, very nice, and we've worked closely together. So she's very positive, and I look at her as an example as what I would like to be as a positive, happy person on this campus.
Thank you, SGA President Lincoln Annabali and Shirley Gwenfoud, and my co-anchor Cameron Bowden for those interviews. Over 200 anti-Israel demonstrators were arrested during a protest yesterday at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn. The protesters laid down a sign saying, "Stop arming Israel," in the middle of the street, and later gathered around the home of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. The protest was organized by the organization Jewish Voice for Peace, a group that describes itself as the largest Jewish anti-Zionist organization in the world.
Columbia University is making progress with pro-Palestinian protesters who have been camping out on the west lawn of the Morningside campus last week. The university demanded the tents to be taken apart by today at midnight after clashes were made with the police. Protesters agreed to remove the tents and limit participation in demonstrations to Columbia students, while also disallowing discriminatory language. Hofstra freshman filmmaking major Mike Katzen shared their experience from the protest that they attended over the weekend.
When we were at Columbia, it was people of every faith. There was I know there's footage coming out from inside the encampment of Shabbat Shalom from the Liberation Zone, and then there was they just recently held a Passover Seder, which I know many other encampments are doing. But there was a bunch of fellow Jewish people who were there, which when a lot of the media messaging is only Zionist messaging, seeing other people who are agreeing with you, is really just it was a really just profound experience. And
campus access is now limited to current students and faculty, with classes being held in a hybrid format.
WRHU also had the chance to speak with SGA presidential candidate Shirley Gwenfoud.
So you talked a little bit about collaboration and coalitions. Can you discuss how, if elected, you will foster collaboration and coalition building?
I think number one is just ensuring that people are doing okay, because behind the scenes of having a position is also making sure that mentally and everything going on in your life is okay, and that you're just able to stay afloat. Because I understand when something is going on in your personal life, everything in the external life is difficult, and trying to face that, combat that, and just making sure that I'm there to support people and guide them, bounce any ideas off of, but also provide any resources or any listening ears that I could. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing what keeps people afloat is, me. I love texting my friend if something happens and I'm like, this just happened, I need to talk. And I just always want to be that person for people, and making sure that they know they're not alone, and they know that they can go to someone to talk to when they're feeling this way about an issue, a conflict. And if there's a conflict between chairs, two different groups, make it more constructive than destructive, and work from that. Because conflicts to try to completely avoid conflict, you can't grow from that, but trying to make it as constructive as possible. And like I said prior, with just being the listening ear and ensuring that communication is held, and if something's not going on, bounce back from and say okay, where did we fall short on this, and how can we improve on the future? Because punishing someone or just putting that negative energy when it comes to this it halts your growth, but being able to work on it, reflect back, and can help move forward.
One of your policy initiatives looks to allocate more funding for commuter-based services. How are you going to make that change occur if elected?
So with the commuting students necessarily, because as a commuter, I get it. And just working together to foster the little resources that actually are the bigger resources at the end. For example, I know we have the lockers on the second floor, but also taking into account, and I want to actually try to figure out and work with commuting services to figure out how many people use those lockers, because I've never used one, but maybe there's a multitude of people that do. So figure out like what that space looks like. On top of that too, I know it's so simple but so complex, a microwave, because being able to like pack your food and bring it to school is one of like the most strenuous but also my favorite thing to do, and it makes my mom less angry when I actually take her spaghetti and meatballs to school. So being able to have more of those across campus and just discussing with administration, Office of Student Leadership and Engagement, commuting services of what the budget looks like.
In this interview, or in the last interview, I guess, I liked to ask Lincoln what his what something he admired about you, something he admired about his opposing candidate. Excuse me. So I'd like to ask, what do you respect most about your opponent, Lincoln, in this kind of campaigning?
I'm gonna cry. I love this question. Someone asked us this during the debate, and I almost shut up on stage because I love this, like the positivity. So the number one thing I admire about Lincoln is his passion and his advocacy, because of course, like here he is rerunning again, and there's something that he's so passionate. He's continuing to tell people and remind people how much he cared for his student body because of the impact he has made.
Thank you to SGA presidential candidate Shirley Gwenfoud and my co-anchor Cameron Bowden for that interview.
Coming up, your Newsline Entertainment Report with Ricky Hubert. But first, your Newsline Traffic and Weather Update with Dorcas Umaru. WRHU News Time is 5:50 p.m.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
On the Northern State Parkway, there's construction near exit 31 Glen Cove Road, leading to some slowdowns in that area. Over on Southern State Parkway, we have reports of a delay near exit 19 Peninsula Boulevard due to the heavy volume of cars on the road. And in Meadowbrook State Parkway, there is an accident near exit M2, causing some backup for drivers headed in that direction. Headed on the Long Island Railroad, all trains are operating on or close to schedule, but make sure to check with the MTA before setting out. Headed into the skies, Newark Airport is experiencing a delay of an average of 22 minutes of some arriving flights due to wind. As always, we recommend checking with your carrier before heading out to the airport. As we head into the weekend, Saturday will be a beautiful day with highs in the mid-50s and clear skies. Sunday will see a slight increase in temperatures reaching 70 degrees with a mix of sun and clouds. So get ready to enjoy some warm and sunny weather over the next few days. With your Newsline traffic and weather update, I am Dorcas Umaru, WRHU.
Newsline. Entertainment.
A former cameraman for Megan Thee Stallion alleges that he was forced to watch the hip-hop star have intercourse with another woman. Emilio Garcia filed a lawsuit against the rapper, accusing her of a hostile work environment and harassment. Garcia included in the suit that he was told to never discuss what he allegedly saw and was treated differently by Stallion. He mentioned fat shaming and berating as things that made the workplace, quote, intolerable. In response, Stallion's attorney, Alex Spiro, says this is an employment claim for money and that it is a salacious attempt to embarrass her. Billie Eilish is also opening up to the public in a new Rolling Stone cover story. The interview comes ahead of the release of her new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, on May 17th. Her album features the song Lunch, detailing Eilish's feelings for another woman. In the interview, Eilish says that she's been in love with girls her entire life, but didn't realize it until last year. Still, Eilish does not put a label on her sexuality. She says the song helped her grow into the person she is today. Eilish reflected on her career path, saying the journey feels like, quote, I'm coming back to the girl that I was. It's almost like she got drowned by the world and media. Finally, the 40th MTV Video Music Awards will take place from UBS Arena at Belmont Park in Elmont on September 10th. In a statement, Governor Kathy Hochul says the state is excited to have the annual event back in New York. The first broadcast of the awards took place at Radio City Music Hall in 1984. Head of Music, Programming, and Events for MTV's parent company Paramount says, quote, celebrating one of music's biggest nights with the incredible, robust New York area music fans is something we've been looking forward to the moment last year's show ended. With your Newsline Entertainment Report, I'm Ricky Hubert, WRHU.
WRHU News Time is 5:53 p.m. Thank you, Dorcas Umaru and Ricky Hubert, for those reports. The Department of Transportation announced today that airline passengers are entitled to automatic, quick cash refunds for flights that are canceled or significantly delayed. The rule comes after the Biden administration promised to hold airlines accountable for major disruptions like the 2022 Southwest Airlines meltdown, an incident that saw nearly 17,000 flights canceled or delayed. The new rule should save flyers almost $500 million a year.
Biden administration is finalizing a rule requiring employers to pay overtime to salaried workers making less than $43,888 a year. Starting July 1st, millions more salaried workers will be eligible for overtime pay. The goal is to make sure lower-paid salaried workers get paid fairly for the extra hours they work. The overtime pay threshold is expected to go up nearly $59,000 by 2025, a big change from the current threshold set by the Trump administration of under $36,000.
The Biden administration plans on announcing a new 5-year schedule to lease federal offshore regions for wind energy production. Some anticipated areas include the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Maine, the Central Atlantic Ocean, and areas near California and Hawaii. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management will coordinate the sales and projects through 2028.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in China this week. The trip comes as the Senate approved a foreign aid package of $8 billion. It also requires the Chinese TikTok owner Zhang Yiming to sell the app. Blinken is expected to discuss interference affairs issues with Chinese officials, as well as human rights concerns and the war in Ukraine. Both sides have expressed a willingness to engage in dialogue, but significant disagreements remain over Taiwan trade.
And in Australia, Elon Musk is facing backlash after refusing to remove a video of Bishop Marmari getting stabbed during a live stream service on X. After Musk was ordered by an Australian federal court to remove the video, he attacked the country's gun laws and, quote, the censorship of its fascist government. Musk even called for Senator Jackie Lambie to be arrested after criticizing Musk and deleting her account. This comes after Musk's recent controversy in Brazil, where he again refused to remove requested content.
Coming up, your Newsline Sports Break with Connor Keogh. WRHU News Time is 5:56.
From the Philip Cavallero Sports Desk, this is your Newsline Sports Update.
In baseball, Hofstra lost to UConn 14-3 in Storrs. Hofstra pitcher Penn Steely surrendered 10 runs in the second inning as the Pride continued to struggle on the mound. Hofstra came into the game with the highest ERA in the CAA, with over 8 runs allowed per game. In softball, Hofstra and Fordham are tied 6-6 right here in Hempstead. Becca Valancourt hit a leadoff home run for the Pride. She leads the team with 9 dingers. Former Hofstra point guard Jaquan Carlos committed to Syracuse today. Carlos led the CAA in assists this season with a little over 6 per game. The Brooklyn native was also named to the All-Conference defensive team for the second time. Carlos joins the Orange with 1 year left of collegiate eligibility. MLB. The Mets lead the Giants 6-1 through 5 innings. The Amazings broke the seal courtesy of Francisco Lindor's home run in the third. The Mets are looking to avoid being swept for the first time since their opening series. The Yankees face the A's tonight. The Yankees evened the series with a 4-3 win yesterday. Meanwhile, closer Clay Holmes is up to 12 innings pitched without allowing a home run. That is tied with Shane Bieber for the most in the MLB. Game time between the Pinstripes and the A's is 7. Finally, new Brooklyn Nets head coach Yordi Fernandez spoke to the media for the first time since accepting the role. Fernandez had this to say about his vision for the Nets.
Being process-oriented, being extremely competitive, and building an identity, doing it the Brooklyn way, right? That's my main goal. It's going to take time. It's going to take direction and structure, but I believe we'll start the right way.
Brooklyn missed the playoffs this year for the first time since 2018. That's all for sports. With your Newsline update, I'm Connor Keogh.
That will do it for tonight's edition of Newsline. Many thanks to the entire WRHU news team. Engineering our show this evening is Newsline's best, Jason Spiller.
Thank you for tuning into Newsline, only here on your 4-time Marconi Award-winning station, 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University.
Access real-time local Long Island, New York, and global news, along with content from WRHU Talent, Monday through Thursday, 5:30 to 6.
And tune back in from 7 to 9, Monday through Friday morning for our talk show, where we discuss Long Island life, national news, and international issues from the minds and mouths of Hofstra students on the Hofstra Morning Wake-Up Call.
Lastly, check us out on social media at WRHU News for behind-the-scenes content.
For Newsline, I'm Isaac Brindell.
And I'm Cameron Bowden.
Thank you for listening.
And have a good night.
Newsline is a presentation of Long Island's largest radio news team, comprised comprised of nationally recognized student broadcasters, winners of numerous awards from the Associated Press, Society of Professional Journalists, Radio Television News Directors Association, Hearst Corporation, Long Island Press Club, and other prestigious organizations. Newsline is researched and produced by student journalists using the Hofstra News Hub, cutting-edge multimedia news gathering technology located in Hofstra's School of Communication. To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to hofstra.edu. To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to WRHU.org.